AI just analyzed the bloop sound and made a shocking discovery. Water covers 71% of Earth's surface, leaving plenty of space for secrets to stay buried. In this video, we'll explore some of the most terrifying mysteries from the depths and how modern technology is helping us solve them. Here are 15 terrifying mysteries from the deep ocean. Number 15. The bloop. A curious and well-known underwater sound, the bloop has long baffled scientists. This extremely low-frequency, high-amplitude sound likely came from the South Pacific Ocean close to Antarctica, and it was recorded in 1997 by the United States National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA. The source of the extremely loud sound was a topic of much conjecture, since it was picked up by several sensors located more than 3,000 miles distant. Given the size and scope of the sound, several researchers first postulated that a gigantic marine animal, possibly even bigger than a blue whale, may have been responsible for creating the bloop. Years later, with advances in artificial intelligence and acoustic modeling, researchers fed the original bloop waveform into sophisticated machine learning systems trained on millions of known oceanic sounds. The AI compared the signal against vast libraries of iceberg fractures, tectonic shifts, underwater volcanic events, whale calls, and even submarine mechanical noise. In a process that would have taken human analysts decades, the system completed its comparison in mere hours. Surprisingly, the AI flagged key frequency modulations and harmonic patterns that did not align with typical icequake signatures. The sound structure showed biological-style amplitude fluctuations rather than the sharp, brittle spikes common in cracking ice. Statistical probability models generated by the system suggested that the waveform shared more characteristics with large marine vocalizations than with geophysical events. While not definitive proof, the analysis weakened the long-held ice fracture explanation. Some researchers cautiously proposed that the ocean may still harbor massive, undocumented organisms capable of producing such a call. The AI findings reignited debates that had quieted for nearly 2 decades, bringing fresh intrigue back to the mystery. Though the scientific community remains divided, the possibility of an unknown deep-sea source once again entered serious discussion. The public and experts alike continue to be captivated by the bloop's enigmatic origins and the initial proposal of an unknown sea species, even after this new explanation. Number 14. The deadly underwater lake. Despite our common perception of the ocean as a homogeneous mass, its temperature and salinity changes can actually divide it into smaller bodies of water much like lakes. The so-called jacuzzi of despair is one example of this. Among the most hostile habitats on the planet, this one-of-a-kind underwater lake is situated approximately 3,300 feet below the surface and is both warmer and more poisonous than the water around it. Even though the lake is just around 12 feet deep and 32 feet across, it has a huge effect on the aquatic life in the area. The chemical makeup and extremely high salinity of the jacuzzi of despair are what make it so intriguing. The lake's water is 4 to 5 times saltier than the seawater around it, forming a thick brine pool that stays separate from the less salty water above it. Most marine life is doomed by the abundance of hydrogen sulfide and methane in this extremely salty brine. A dead zone of crabs, fish, and other aquatic creatures lines the shores of this poisonous lake, since any aquatic species that dares to swim there will swiftly perish due to the extreme nature of the circumstances. Inside the jacuzzi of despair, it has been suggested that analogous environments may exist beneath the frozen surfaces of other planets or moons, such as Europa, the moon of Jupiter, or Enceladus, the moon of Saturn. This undersea lake provides a unique opportunity for scientists to examine how life could adapt, or not adapt, to such harsh environments. The peculiar chemical reactions taking place in the brine may give light on the boundaries of life here on Earth and maybe even in other parts of the cosmos. In addition, the jacuzzi of despair belongs to a larger class of submerged brine pools that are prevalent in the Gulf of Mexico because of the abundance of old salt beds in that area. These salty lakes can collect and concentrate harmful substances when salt seeps from the ocean floor and dissolves in water, forming brine pools. These brine pools may hold the answers to some of the most basic concerns regarding the resilience of life and the possibility of living in harsh conditions beyond Earth, which has prompted interest in conducting further explorations after the jacuzzi of despair was found. Number 13. The cannibal shark. Great white sharks reign supreme in the ocean, much like lions do on land. Killer whales typically prey on these, but that wasn't the situation here. After tagging a 9-foot great white shark for research, the animal vanished without a trace, leaving Australian biologists puzzled and unsettled. The data from the shark tracker, which washed up in due time, showed a sharp increase in temperature and a spectacular plunge of 1,900 feet into the water. A terrifying conclusion was reached after extensive investigation by the researchers. A great white shark about 16 feet long and 2 tons in weight had devoured the shark. A huge, carnivorous shark lurking in the depths is enough to make anyone tremble. Number 12. The controversial Gulf of Cambe ruins. Claims of artifacts found in the Gulf of Cambe off the Gujarat coast in the early 2000s have sparked heated controversy ever since. There are a lot of items housed in these submerged constructions, which seem like city plans. Since the region was dredged instead of meticulously excavated, the scholarly community disagrees on the site's value. Upon their discovery, the artifacts from the Gulf of Cambe, sometimes called the Gulf of Kumbat, have ignited heated discussion and investigation. These submerged features were initially detected using sonar imagery as part of a standard environmental assessment off the coast of Gujarat, India. The photographs showed a vast array of geometric structures, which some scientists think may be the ruins of a long-lost underwater metropolis. It is the probable age of the location that makes the Gulf of Cambe ruins so intriguing. Carbon dating has placed the artifacts recovered from the site at approximately 9,500 years old. Artifacts found there include shards of pottery, tools, and even human bones. According to these estimates, this culture was among the world's first, if not the oldest, before any known human towns came into existence. There are rectangular shapes that might be building foundations and grid-like patterns that seem like streets among the structures. There is still debate among scientists about the importance of these findings, since the location was found via dredging instead of meticulous investigation. Some have raised concerns about the relic's authenticity by speculating that natural disasters may have removed them from their original setting. The region's geological past adds another layer of complexity. Seismic activity is common in the Gulf of Cambe and may have played a role in the building's eventual sinking. This evidence lends credence to the theory that these artifacts belong to a prosperous culture that perished as a result of the last ice age's melting sea levels. The remains of the Gulf of Cambe are still the subject of active investigation and study. Notwithstanding the issues surrounding them, additional proof of an ancient civilization's existence has the potential to radically change how we perceive human history and the cultures of the Indian subcontinent in the distant past. The structures themselves are fascinating, but the carbon-dated artifacts found there have sparked debate. The remains near the Gulf of Cambe would constitute the oldest known civilization if these items do, in fact, originate from an old community that dates back 9,500 years. However, there is still much disagreement over the discovery's actual significance. In your opinion? Number 11. The Baltic Sea anomaly. Swedish scuba divers, Ocean X, set out in 2011 for the Gulf of Bothnia in search of long-lost riches. Rather, they came across something much more enigmatic. The crew used sonar gear to get a rough picture of something out of the ordinary lying on the ocean floor. The Baltic Sea anomaly was the name given to the peculiar item, which caused people to start talking about it right away. Electrical interference made it hard for the team to acquire a clearer picture, which added to the mystery. A few team members went so far as to speculate that it might be a UFO, but scientists still don't believe it. Even though the Ocean X crew says it's not a spaceship and isn't constructed of metal, many have been captivated by the object's striking likeness to Star Wars Millennium Falcon. Number 10. Adams Bridge. Adams Bridge, often called Rama's Bridge, is a historically and geologically significant site that is also rich in myth and mythology. This network of limestone shoals, which stretches for around 30 miles between the Indian islands of Pumban and Mannar in Sri Lanka, has long been studied and revered by religious and scientific communities. The fascinating congruence between the structure's estimated age of 7,000 years and ancient accounts of Lord Rama's monkey army building a bridge is supported by geological evidence. Ram Setu is a naturally occurring formation, as indicated by satellite images. However, its exact origin is still up for discussion. Opinions among experts are divided on what caused it. Some think a sandbar that joined the two land masses is to blame, while others think it might be the weathered remains of something man-made. Some have speculated that tectonic activity may have played a role in the bridge's creation due to the existence of a continuous stretch of shallow water along its length. The possible archaeological importance of Ram Setu has garnered a lot of attention in the past few years. Although experts are still captivated by the prospect, excavations and underwater investigations have not produced definitive proof of human building. Recognizing the site's cultural significance and its potential as a subject of further scientific investigation, the Indian government has even considered making it a national monument. The intriguing subject of Ram Setu is a result of its unusual position at the intersection of geology, mythology, and history. This enigmatic bridge will undoubtedly continue to pique the interest of scholars and the general public for the foreseeable future due to its position in local legends and its possible role as a connection between ancient civilizations. Number 9. The mystery of the lost submarines. Anyone easily frightened should not attempt to solve the riddle of the 1968 missing submarines. There is a great deal of danger aboard submarines, which are encased in metal tubes and operate hundreds of feet below the water surface. Nonetheless, it is quite unusual for 4 submarines to go missing in a single year. Tragically, 38 lives were lost in 1968, a year marked by submarine disasters, when 4 vessels went missing under strange circumstances: the USS Scorpion, INS Dakar, Minerve, and Soviet K-129. They were all hailing from different countries: the US, Israel, France, and the USSR. These occurrences keep specialists baffled and speculations going. Number 8. The mystery of Leptocephalus giganteus. The extremely rare eel species Leptocephalus giganteus was first described in 1930 by Anton Brun and again in 1959 by Peter Henry John Castle. It is believed to live in the depths of the ocean. The first specimen was collected during a deep-sea expedition, drifting like a translucent ribbon in the dark water column. Its body was nearly transparent, thin as glass, and shaped like a long, flattened leaf gliding silently through the abyss. Researchers were stunned by its sheer size, as most eel larvae are delicate, palm-sized creatures rather than serpentine giants. The second confirmed specimen only deepened the mystery, offering no clear clues about what the adult form might look like. Unlike most marine animals, no mature individual has ever been observed, photographed, or captured. This absence has fueled speculation that the adult could inhabit extreme depths far beyond the reach of conventional fishing nets. Some scientists believe it may undergo a dramatic metamorphosis, shrinking and reshaping as it matures, similar to other eel species. Others argue that ocean currents might carry the larvae far from their true birthplace, masking the actual habitat of the adult eel. The thought of a massive, fully grown eel lurking unseen in the midnight zone has captured the imagination of marine biologists for decades. With so few samples and no genetic confirmation from adults, Leptocephalus giganteus remains one of the most tantalizing enigmas in deep-sea zoology. There have only been 2 confirmed specimens, and both were discovered when they were still in the larval stage, long before they reached adulthood. One of the larvae was already an amazing 6 feet long at this early stage. Considering that eel larvae are usually around a third of their adult size, it implies that a fully developed Leptocephalus giganteus may be very terrifying. Some contemporary researchers, meanwhile, are beginning to wonder if the species wasn't just a misidentification and won't actually get very big after all. The true makeup of this elusive eel is still unknown in the absence of additional research. Number 7. Japan's sunken Atlantis. Lots of undersea artifacts have been the subject of speculation over whether or not they represent the legendary metropolis of Atlantis. The Yonaguni Monument in Japan, though, is particularly noteworthy among the most important discoveries in underwater archaeology. This location is frequently praised. Divers first stumbled upon the massive structure in 1986 while searching for hammerhead sharks off the coast of Yonaguni Island, and what they found beneath the waves looked nothing like an ordinary reef. Giant stone terraces rise in sharp angles from the seabed, forming what appear to be steps, platforms, and broad flat surfaces that resemble a sunken temple complex. Some sections look like staircases carved with deliberate symmetry, leading to wide plazas that seem almost designed for gatherings. There are also features described as road-like pathways and what some divers call a loop road, encircling the formation. Massive rectangular blocks lie stacked in ways that appear intentional rather than random. Certain carvings resemble faces or animals, sparking comparisons to ancient relief art found in other parts of Asia. The monument sits roughly 82 feet below the surface, in waters known for strong currents that add to the site's dramatic atmosphere. Supporters of the man-made theory argue that the straight edges and right angles are too precise to be the result of simple erosion. Skeptics counter that sandstone naturally fractures along planes, creating geometric shapes that can easily fool the human eye into seeing design. The debate has only intensified over the years, turning Yonaguni into one of the most controversial underwater sites in the world. A lot of people don't believe these underwater rock formations are anything more than natural phenomena, just as with the Bimini Road. However, other experts, including Professor Masaaki Kimura, have speculated that the monument could be man-made due to its exact geometric patterns, animal-like carvings, and vestiges of columns. Number 6. The bizarre macropinna microstoma. Just wait until you see the fish that goes by the name macropinna microstoma if you think it's strange. This intriguing fish, which was found in 1939, has highly specialized tubular eyes housed in a transparent, fluid-filled skull. Within the translucent dome, which functions like a shield, the fish can turn its eyes to view ahead or upwards, enabling it to spot prey in the dark, enclosed space of the deep ocean where visibility is severely limited. The capacity to discern even the faintest bioluminescent signals is crucial. The fact that this fish has adapted to live in a low-light environment between 2,000 and 2,800 feet down is fascinating in and of itself. The fish's remarkable capacity to absorb light is due to the tight packing of rod cells within its tubular eyes. To further improve their capacity to detect bioluminescent creatures below, these eyes are additionally coated with a green pigment that helps block out sunlight from above. Small zooplankton, jellyfish, and other gelatinous creatures make up the bulk of macropinna microstoma's food. Its big, flat pectoral fins help it stay put in the water, where it has been seen swimming nearly motionlessly while waiting for prey to float into its field of vision. The fish is able to conserve energy by engaging in this behavior when feeding. The fish's ability to see upward is quite helpful, since it allows it to hide in the shadows and search for food above. The evolutionary history of macropinna microstoma is one of the things that has always baffled scientists. Its peculiar feeding habits and structure may have developed in response to the harsh circumstances of the deep sea, according to science. Scientists say the species is still being studied because of how rare it is. Researchers have only managed to catch a handful of live specimens. More and more evidence is emerging from scientific investigations regarding the ability of life to thrive in Earth's most inhospitable and unusual habitats. Number 5. The mysterious light wheels. Light wheels, enormous luminous circles that have surfaced on the ocean's surface for ages, are often said to resemble ocean ghosts. The 18th century marks the earliest known reports of these light events, which can reach hundreds of feet in diameter. Sailors from merchant ships once described them as glowing halos spinning silently beneath their hulls, illuminating the water like a submerged moon. Some captains logged sightings of perfect rings forming in otherwise calm seas, only to vanish moments later without leaving a ripple behind. Modern cargo vessels and even cruise ships have occasionally reported similar phenomena, captured briefly on night vision cameras before dissolving into darkness. In certain cases, witnesses claim the circles appear to pulse rhythmically, expanding and contracting as though breathing. Marine researchers studying bioluminescent blooms have attempted to recreate the effect in controlled conditions, yet none have produced the same sharply defined rotating patterns described in historical accounts. Satellite imagery has occasionally revealed faint circular anomalies in remote ocean regions, sparking renewed debate about what forces could organize plankton into such geometric precision. Some speculate that underwater volcanic activity or unusual current vortices might play a role in shaping these glowing rings. Others suggest that rare interactions between ocean chemistry and moonlight could amplify natural luminescence into something far more dramatic than ordinary plankton blooms. Light wheels like these could be caused by bioluminescent plankton or seismic waves, according to oceanographer Kurt Colley's reasonable explanation. Despite its plausibility, this idea fails to explain why light wheels can have a wide range of shapes and frequently spin at varied speeds. Many people are still puzzled and curious about what causes these weird glowing circles. Number 4. The Julia Sound. Back in 1999, the U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, caught a strange noise they called Julia. Despite its brief duration of 15 seconds, this mysterious sound piqued the interest of both scientists and those who believe in conspiracies. The automated hydrophone array of NOAA was able to pick up the 15-second long sound in the tropical Pacific Ocean. Speculation and interest surround Julia's origin, as its precise cause has not been proven. Despite original claims that it was caused by an iceberg running aground or colliding with Antarctica's seafloor, the expansiveness and intensity of Julia's sound make it distinct from other oceanic noises. Multiple sensors more than 3,000 miles distant detected the sound, indicating that whatever created Julia was either very big or very powerful. The ultra-low frequency region of the sound is usually associated with very huge physical occurrences like earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, or the shifting of enormous icebergs. The fact that no one has heard a comparable sound since then, despite thorough monitoring, just serves to heighten the mystery. Some researchers have put out some strange suggestions, such as the possibility that Julia is associated with a huge, undiscovered marine species or a geological event that has never been seen before. The ongoing discovery of new species, including those with tremendous size, and the fact that the ocean's depths are mostly uncharted both lend credence to this. The sound also seems to be happening at the same time as unconfirmed claims that NASA satellite photos reveal a huge shadow shifting in the water close to Antarctica. The Julia sound has never been proven, but it has captivated scientists and the general public alike, drawing attention to the mysteries that lie at the bottom of the ocean's enormous, mostly uncharted depths. Regardless of the source of the sound, a natural phenomena or something more mysterious, it highlights both the gaps in our knowledge of the waters and the possibilities for future discoveries. Number 3. Megalodon. During the Cenozoic era, about 23 to 3.6 million years ago, the waters were ruled by the enormous Megalodon, formerly known as Otodus megalodon. A lot of people think it was the biggest and baddest predator that ever lived in the history of vertebrates. Megalodon may have reached a maximum length of 59 feet according to certain estimates, and possibly even longer according to other beliefs. It could effortlessly shatter the bones of huge prey such as whales with its enormous jaws, loaded with serrated teeth that were up to 7 inches long and could produce a bite force of about 40,000 pounds. Fossilized teeth the size of a human hand have been discovered on every continent except Antarctica, hinting at a global reign that stretched across warm prehistoric seas. Some coastal cliffs reveal clusters of these massive teeth, suggesting ancient feeding grounds where megalodons once ambushed migrating whales. Paleontologists have found vertebrae from whales bearing deep, jagged gouges that perfectly match the serrated edges of megalodon teeth. Scientists believe juveniles may have used shallow nursery areas, much like modern sharks, to grow large enough to challenge adult whales in open waters. The sheer width of its jaws, estimated to span nearly 10 feet, would have allowed it to swallow prey whole or tear off enormous chunks in a single bite. Comparisons with today's great white sharks show that Megalodon was not just larger, but proportionally more robust and muscular, built purely for overwhelming force. Reconstructions suggest that when it breached or rolled during a hunt, the ocean itself would have churned violently under its immense bulk. Megalodon probably ate whales, dolphins, and big fish as part of its diet. Bite impressions on skeletons and other fossil evidence point to it being an apex predator. Megalodon, the terrifying prehistoric shark, fell extinct about 3.6 million years ago, perhaps as a result of shifting ocean temperatures and a decrease in its main food supplies. Its legacy lives on today, inspiring more research and piquing public interest in the possibility of gigantic underwater predators. Number 2. The mystery of the Bimini Road. An underwater rock feature close to North Bimini Island in the Bahamas. Bimini Road, sometimes called the Bimini Wall, is a mystery that has been called the Road to Atlantis and other names. The half-mile-long formation is made up of huge rectangular limestone blocks laid up in a way that looks like a road or a wall. The Bimini Road appears to have been formed by erosion and ocean currents according to geological evidence and carbon dating. When divers first descended on the site in the late 1960s, many described the eerie sensation of swimming over what looked like an ancient paved causeway, disappearing into blue water. Some of the blocks are so evenly shaped and tightly fitted that they resemble deliberately cut stones rather than fractured bedrock. Marine growth has softened the edges over time, but certain right angles and flat surfaces still spark debate among researchers. Sonar scans of the surrounding seabed have revealed additional linear patterns that fuel speculation about a larger submerged complex. Supporters of the Atlantis theory often point to Plato's writings and suggest that this could be a remnant of a once thriving coastal civilization lost to rising seas. Skeptics counter that beach rock formations naturally crack into rectangular slabs under specific pressure and tidal conditions, creating convincing but entirely natural patterns. The tension between romantic legend and scientific explanation has kept the Bimini Road at the center of underwater exploration documentaries for decades. Nevertheless, there are 2 additional, similar formations in the vicinity, and some stones seem to be stacked, thus some think there may be more to the structure than meets the eye. Carbon dating techniques are not foolproof, but with an estimated age of 2,000 to 4,000 years, the Bimini Road is much too young to have been a part of Atlantis. Number 1. The mysterious Gulf of Mexico shipwreck. While experimenting with underwater drones in the Gulf of Mexico in May 2019, scientists from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration (NOAA) found a fascinating finding. They found a weird shipwreck on their sonar scans. The only identifying mark discovered on the wreck, despite their best attempts, was the number 2109. Nobody knows where the ship came from. Historians and experts have been captivated by the mystery wreckage that was found in the Gulf of Mexico in 2019. Although the sole piece of identification found on the debris was the number 2109, experts estimate that the ship may have been built in the early 19th century, giving it a potential age of around 200 years. There are mysteries surrounding the ship's sinking. As the burnt timber suggests, it was probably on fire at the time. Was it attacked, or was the fire caused by an onboard accident? Scientists are keen to find answers to questions like these. European discovery, piracy, and major commercial routes are all part of the Gulf of Mexico's rich nautical history. Innumerable ships have sailed through these waters, some of which have never been heard from again. It is possible the ship was a military vessel or part of a commercial fleet, given that the wreck is in waters notorious for their dangerous conditions. If the ship's cargo is found, it could reveal important information about its whereabouts and mission. Nevertheless, additional investigation is hindered by the depth of the wreck and the fragile state of the surviving structure. Because they may provide clues as to its build date and the technologies employed, marine archaeologists are keenly interested in the ship's blueprints and construction materials. There is a greater cache of unexplained ships in the Gulf of Mexico of which this wreck is a part. Taken as a whole, these wrecks shed light on the region's complicated and frequently dangerous nautical past. Additional information regarding this mysterious shipwreck, including its history and the larger historical setting in which it sailed, may be revealed through future exploration and technical developments in underwater archaeology. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.